Hey folks, welcome to another exciting, thrilling, fast-paced episode of What's Your Favorite Movie? My name's Ed South. What's Your Favorite Movie is a podcast celebrating film fandom, our favorite movies, and why we love them so much. New episodes of the show debut the first and third Wednesday of each month on iTunes and Spreaker, as well as various other podcast apps. You can also follow What's Your Favorite Movie on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, because you have nothing better to do. Really quick at the top of the show, if you're a regular listener, I would like to say thank you to both of you out there. And also, but here's what I want you to do if you're a regular listener. Please tell one person about the show. Just tell somebody who you think might want to listen to the show, because we want to make the show grow a little bit. So number one is tell one person about the show. And then number two, share it once on your social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Grindr, Twitter, whatever it is whatever your selection is, please do. First-time listeners, if you're listening because you happen to find us, or perhaps you know our guest or something like that, that's fine. But if you like what you hear, consider checking out some of our back catalog of episodes. And maybe you might want to subscribe and listen again. Who knows? And speaking of our guest, segue, our guest today is a financial advisor with Precise Financial Solutions to discuss movie budget. I'm just kidding. It's an old pal of mine, as always, but glad to have him here. Let's say hello to Aaron. Aaron,
Hello.
How's it going?
Very good, very good.
Excellent. Definitely one of the top people on my list to have on this show, because Aaron and I wasted an obscene amount of time in our youth going to the movies.
Yes, we did.
Every movie that came out. But like I said, Aaron is a financial advisor. He also actually owns his own business. Tell him real quick about what you do.
We don't want to talk about
Precise Financial Solutions in Baltimore.
I'm a financial advisor. I help people with their retirement savings and insurance needs. That's in a nutshell.
That's excellent. That's excellent. That beats sitting in your basement and telling people to watch Flipper. So it's all good. And Aaron actually...
We saw Flipper together.
We did. I was very excited to see Flipper, as we've mentioned. I've also promised not to talk about Flipper anymore. But you were there in the theater with me and Diana from episode 4, I think, and somebody else, a couple other people. And you remember it started late? It started like a half hour late, and I was like ready to rip the seats out of the theater because I wanted to see it so bad. And also, I had already drank my whole 7-ounce Flipper souvenir cup of cherry Coke. So anyway, good times.
Very good.
Have you ever revisited Flipper?
I did watch it once when I saw it on Encore or something, and it didn't hold up as well as I had hoped.
I actually...
Paul Hogan, right?
Yes, Paul Hogan and Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
I actually have that DVD. It's a double feature with one of the movies on your list. So isn't that interesting?
Wow.
I'll have to get to that later.
Okay.
And Aaron here also at one point directed my first play, my first feature-length play that I wrote.
Barn of Thought.
Barn of Thought in 1996.
Ice-T ain't nothing but dirty water.
It was and in the play, I played Ed South. It was a real stretch for me there to play Ed South.
Yeah, but we had a lot of fun doing that.
We did have a lot of fun. And the show was pretty successful.
It was, especially when you think about it. I think our concept for our theater company, the Down South Independent Theater Company, was we were around a lot of people who were doing these academic theater productions. And we wanted to do the equivalent of USA Up All Night, but theater. Right,
the antithesis of
highbrow.
Yes, it was lowbrow, but not like dirty or anything. It was just silly. Although Barna thought the other plays that I wrote later were like just completely ripped off of like old movies. Like they were like one was about saving a hotel from being closed, and one was like just about hanging out at the beach. But Barna thought had a little bit of substance to it, and then. So Aaron directed the play. It did well, and then he's like, "All right, see you guys. I'm going to Hollywood." Didn't quite work that way, but tell us about. But first, before we get to that, we should mention that we used to do a DJ and radio show.
And radio might be a stretch.
Well, that's true. In college radio, but we did DJ out at bars and stuff, and we're still owed a lot of money for that from 20 years
from
later.
Spirits West.
No, Spirits West paid us Chi-Chi's, which went down the toilet, but they owed us a lot of money.
The dive bar paid us with like the 4 drunks who probably are still sitting there.
But Aaron's stage name was Mark Downs. Mark's your middle name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was Mark Downs, and then I was Ed South, so we were down south.
Yes.
Good times.
We had our dueling 80s show.
We did an awesome show. And this was before iPods. We would carry in like crates and crates
CDs.
And crates of CDs. So tell us real quick about your days in Hollywood. And by days...
Well, I lived in LA for 10 years, but
Okay.
I moved out there to get into the business.
The biz.
And I got an opportunity to work as a production assistant, which is an awful existence. And I did it for about 2 days and decided that I hated everything about the business and left. I actually quit and really decided maybe it wasn't for me. Figuring out it really is a business. There's nothing artistic it's really just a product like any other.
Right.
And it just was not for me. So I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but
Exclusive.
Interestingly, a famous, well, somewhat famous actor is part of the reason that I decided to stop pursuing jobs in the entertainment industry. I had just quit on the show that I was working, and I was applying for other jobs as a production assistant. And I went to a movie one day in the middle of the afternoon. There was 2 people in the theater, me and this bald guy a couple rows in front of me. And after the movie, I saw who it was, and it's a gentleman named Wallace Shawn, who you may know as the teacher from Clueless, or his probably most famous role from The Princess Bride. I would say.
Or Rex from Toy Story. But
Okay.
Not visually, but that is where his voice is known from. Yeah.
So I introduced myself to him, and
How you doing, Aaron?
he was very standoffish. He didn't really want to have anything to do with me. But I mentioned as he was almost walking away that I had read a play that he wrote. A lot of people don't know he's a Pulitzer Prize winning playwright.
Right.
And so I said I had just read this play of his, and he turned around and he came back to me. He puts his hands on my shoulders and he's like, I'm a writer. And he was so excited to talk to me at that point.
That's nice.
And so we were talking for about 15 minutes, and one of the things he said was that, acting in these silly parts is his job, and writing is his passion. And he said, it's important to have a passion, it's important to have a job, but they don't have to be connected.
Right.
And so I decided right then and there, I'll continue to write, I'll continue to do things, the part of it that I enjoy, but I stopped trying to make my career fit in with my passion.
That's awesome, because I look back at that you said that, because I look back at when we were doing the theater company and we were doing the plays, and I loved it, and that was our nights in the day. I had various odd, stupid, boring, whatever jobs, but I didn't care at the time, because at night it was what I wanted to do. So it's like, get up, go to work, do whatever, drive the kiddie train, or file the files, or whatever other random things I was doing, working at a petting zoo, and then. Night was like what I loved doing, but in retrospect, I wish I had the forethought to okay, maybe you should pursue a career in doing what you love.
Right.
And now I have a $40 microphone in my basement doing a podcast, so it all worked out in the end, I think. So, before we get to some movies on Aaron's list of favorite movies, let me just remind you guys that the holidays are coming up, and we all have at least one person on our shopping list. This sounds like an ad, doesn't it? Sounds like we all have one person on our shopping list who is hard to buy for. Well, if they are into movies at all, then our wonderful friends at DexShirts.com have you covered for some unique and different gift ideas. DexShirts.com specializes in one-of-a-kind exclusive t-shirts featuring scenes and moments from some of our all-time favorite movies. Available in men's and women's sizes from small to 4X, these are premium shirts using a high-quality, professional screen print process to bring favorite moments from your favorite films to life. One of their newest shirts is the I Want Balboa Rocky t-shirt from Rocky 3, featuring a striking image of Clubber Lang as portrayed by...
Mr. T.
Correct.
Come on, give me a hard one.
As he knocks out his opponent and declares that he's ready to fight the Italian Stallion. If Rocky isn't your thing, DexShirts.com has plenty of other movie shirts to fit your style. And as an exclusive offer to our listeners of What's Your Favorite Movie, you can save 20% off your entire order by using the promo code WYFMovie. That's our awesome sponsor, Dex Shirts, DEX Shirts.com.
Any little big league shirts?
No,
Give me a good chef.
No, that's wrong movie.
Oh, Angels in the Outfield?
Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year. Oh. Because they were all so
We talked about Sandlot last time on the show, or a couple episodes ago, and then I mentioned that I had seen Rookie of the Year instead. That's what you're thinking of. Mm-hmm. Little Big League. Did you see that?
Probably, and probably together.
I'm glad you remembered that, because this is something I wanted to say. Aaron and I both used to work at the the video department of.
I have some notes about that.
We can talk about that. We were in Sears, and it was like a separate vendor, but whatever. We worked at Sears for the most part, and then there was this old guy that worked across the aisle. It wasn't even
the appliance department.
Yeah, do you have that?
No, but I remember that guy. He was really nice.
Yeah, he was really nice, and we would have like the open videos that we'd play on the TV, and we'd let him borrow them and take them home or whatever. And he was just on the phone. He'd be on the phone with his wife. He had some thick accent or something, whatever. But what do you want to watch? You want to watch a Flintstones or Rookie of the Year? You want to watch Rookie of the Year? It's about a baseball kid. He's Rookie. I can't roll my R's right, but Rookie of the Year. He would be just explaining these ridiculous movies that we had opened up, because we never opened up the dramas or whatever. It was Ace Ventura, Flintstones.
It was the same 8 movies. Lion King was one of the ones on the repertoire. Little Giants. That one was playing ad nauseum with Ed O'Neill and Rick Moranis. And that kid says, "Don't be talking about my mama."
That's it. Don't be talking about my mama.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
True that. Little Giants, folks. Look it up. I just watched that not too long ago.
It's one of those movies that if I see it on, I'll
it was on Amazon Prime, yeah. So anybody that knows you, Aaron, knows without listening to a podcast that your favorite movie is The Godfather.
Of course.
You wear that movie with pride, as a badge of pride. I don't even know what the hell I'm getting at, but tell us about The Godfather.
The Godfather. So you're going right to number 1.
Well,
you're going in
The Godfather. This isn't just like, let me think of my 5 favorite movies. It's like, what are my other 4? Because The Godfather is part of your world.
I'll tell you, one of the things that's interesting about that is, the first time I saw The Godfather, I think I was only 11 or 12 years old and had no business watching. I remember it very clearly. I was sleeping over at my grandmother's house, and I was sleeping in the room with the TV in the living room, and I just stumbled on it, and I watched it from start to finish, completely inappropriate for the age. And I just, from that point on, I think I've watched it every year.
Oh, that's great.
It's just one of those movies. I like the family aspect of it. Of course, I've always enjoyed the organized crime as a topic.
Right. And you don't want to go out and shoot somebody or throw them in the river with cement shoes, but it's the way the mob works is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I really can't put my finger. I was thinking about this. It's hard for me to put my finger on why I love that movie so much.
Because it's just been a part of your life for 30 years.
It's brilliantly acted, and it's brilliantly written, but there's a lot of movies that are. I can't really say specifically what it is, but I've always enjoyed that movie, and it holds up.
I had never seen it before, which I know is a crime. And I wanted to, I always like to watch at least 1 or 2 of the movies before we record the show. So when I knew you were coming on, so I finally sat down and watched it. And let me just say, I thought the chemistry between John Denver and George Burns was fantastic. It was.
I think you may have watched the wrong film.
No. Okay, whatever. I watched.
Oh, Godfather.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Right.
Yes. Never mind. Anyway, so
John Denver,
the film career.
Do you remember? I don't know if you'll recall this.
I know what you're going to say. Halloween.
Yeah. Should I not bring that up?
I don't care.
Was it me who wore that as a costume?
No. It was okay. Halloween, Fells Point in Baltimore, which is just 30 million people in Halloween costumes, drinking in Halloween costumes, and one of the owners of the bar, Chio's at the time, was wearing a John Denver costume, and it was like 2 weeks after he died.
And it was also like a broken airplane wing or something like that. It was really awful. But
a later year, he was a postman covered in anthrax. Was the same guy?
Wow.
Yes,
okay.
But anyway, that's for a different show called "What's Your Favorite Tasteless Costume?" So you said the Godfather saga actually is like all 3 of them.
The first 2 for sure. I happen to. A lot of people hate the third one. I actually think it's pretty good. But the first 2 are really the essence
of
what I enjoy about it.
Do they connect one after the other? Like, does it end and like it starts right back up with part 2?
Well, what happens, it's interesting because this is the one film you can watch it different ways. So 1, it takes place in the 50s. 2, it goes back and forth between the Godfather as a young man and his son, and it goes back and forth. So it's it'll be scenes of him in Sicily, and then it'll jump to his son in America, and then back and forth. But Francis Ford Coppola at one point decided to edit them together in chronological order.
Oh, okay.
And with deleted scenes, so that it became sort of a one long linear story. And that's actually my
TV
favorite way to watch it.
Isn't that the way it was on television?
Yeah, and actually HBO, I think, right now you can watch it that way on HBO, if I'm not mistaken.
With the third one or just the first two?
No, just the first 2.
That's neat.
The third, I think the third he'd probably like to forget. So.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, now it's not if they do it, they're going to do another one, I'm sure, and it'll be like just a nostalgia trip, and it'll just be like, hey, remember that time I shot Johnny?
Yeah, Disney will buy it and make 1,000 new ones and prequels and sequels and anything they can merchandise.
And
Godfather,
you'll buy all the merchandise.
And yeah, for sure.
Somewhere in your house, is there a framed picture of the poster with like a little fake gun and some other?
Actually, no. I never. I don't think I ever actually had any memorabilia or anything like that for it. I didn't never seen a lot of it. It's just not. It's one of those movies that a lot of people love, but I haven't seen. It was my ringtone for a period of time, but aside from that, it's just something I've enjoyed and continue. I think I've never gotten my wife to watch it though. She's not interested.
But I do still have the laser disc you bought for me as a gift many, many years ago, and I have not watched it. But I wanted to before this. But I need a good 45 minutes for the Laserdisc player to get up to speed before it starts at this point. It's like a 20-year-old Laserdisc player, but when you put it in, like literally it's like...
The movie equivalent of a Victrola at this point,
There's a crank on the side.
My kids don't even understand, like, waiting for something to download. Right, yeah. Everything is so instant that they don't get it.
They don't understand how my kids don't understand how a TV schedule works. Like
right. Mine either.
No, but just play it.
Right.
You also changed your original list, and you had my very favorite movie in the number 2 spot.
I know.
And then you moved it out with another movie, which is a great movie. But let's talk about Fletch.
Fletch. What happened was I also watched all these movies and I love the Cannonball Run, which is what I originally had in the number 2 spot. But I love that and Fletch for a similar reason, which is both movies remind me of my childhood and my brother.
Oh, okay, cool.
Those are 2 movies that my brother and I always enjoyed watching together, and we would quote constantly.
Yeah.
But Fletch, when I rewatched it lately, it stands the test of time a little bit better. It's still funny. And especially because there's a lot of jokes that I laughed at when I was a kid, but I didn't get them. Right. Now, as an adult, I get them, and it makes me laugh even more.
I don't know if Cannonball Run, quote unquote, doesn't withstand the test of time, because I don't think it withstood any test of anything when it came out.
When it came out.
It just makes no sense, but it's so darn fun.
Fletch, when I watched it recently, I was just, again, laughing hysterically. Yeah. First of all, the quotes, but there's just certain lines in it that are just so funny. I remember laughing at this when I was a kid, but I didn't get it. There's a line where the guy's wife, who Chevy chases, who he's trying to...
Mrs. Underhill?
No. The Underhill's who he charged the credit card to. Mrs. Gail Stanwyck. And that's not written in my notes, just so you know. Gail Stanwyck is not written. She says he shows her pictures of Alan's other wife. And she said, she looks like a hooker. Could you love a woman that looks like that? And he says, no, 5-10 minutes tops. And I used to laugh at that when I was a kid.
Because it was just his cadence.
It was just,
the way he said the thing.
And there's a lot of things like that. Like the different names he uses.
Well, she answers the door with a towel wrapped around her. She just got out of the shower. I just hit a water buffalo. Can I borrow a towel?
Yeah. And my brother and I used to quote all the time. Like there was one line where my brother and I would just constantly say, "It's all ball bearings nowadays."
Right.
You know, we would and we would talk about charging until the underhills all the time. And one of the other great lines in that movie that I again didn't get as a kid, but is really funny now, and I believe may have been improv, was Alan Stanwyck, who is played by
Tim Matheson.
Tim Matheson,
right,
says to Erwin Fletcher, "Do you own rubber gloves?" And he says, "I rent." Which was it's just a real quick line. So
the way he says it.
Yeah, that movie just really holds up and it's so quotable and actually when you watch it, the plot is actually pretty good. It's a really good plot. So
well, it's based on a book.
That's probably why it's good.
That's why it has a plot.
So that one,
it's Chevy Chase at his prime. I mean, when you go, and I'm sorry, folks, that I can tell you the whole Chevy Chase filmography, but when you go 83 Vacation through maybe 89 Christmas Vacation and everything in between, the two Fletches, Three Amigos, Funny Farm, that is, and both the Fletches, did I say that? Mm-hmm. That's prime Chevy Chase right there. There's nothing better than that.
And nothing more depressing than his cameo in the latest Vacation movie. It was just
it was a little sad, and also it was like, why isn't he the star? Like, even though his voice sounded horrible and he looked like he didn't even groom that morning, it was like, oh well, this could be so much better if Chevy was driving the car. And it was,
I actually found I liked the movie. I thought it was funny.
It was okay,
and I liked the concept for it. But that part with the cameo was really, to me, it was like, oh, they should have just.
Really? Because I thought that was the highlight of the film.
For nostalgic reasons, maybe, but not like it just didn't. It just didn't work.
My three problems with the new Vacation was it was. I mean, not that I'm a prude or anything. It was just like too vulgar. Like they were too.
It was pretty vulgar.
It was too concentrated on just being vulgar, and then there was parts that I was like, this isn't even funny. It's just vulgar, and that's stupid. And they gave away too much in the trailer.
That absolutely is true.
And I said three things. I don't remember what the third.
Well,
thing
the best scene in the movie they gave away in the trailer, which was, in my opinion, the swimming in the Griswold Springs. That
and when you get to the movie, they build up to it for like 5 minutes, and it's like, we already know the punchline here. So that was a major miscalculation on my part.
Yeah, and they really they do that with a lot of movies now. They give the whole thing away in the trailer because they want you to show up the first weekend.
Right.
But then you watch and you're like, I didn't really need to come to the movie. I just needed to watch the trailer. So.
Since Vacation, I have successfully stayed away from trailers because I don't watch. I mean, they don't show trailers on TV. They show little commercials. But I went into Finding Dory, not having seen a frame of it. Didn't see a frame of Ghostbusters when I went and saw that. And whatever else.
Did you like Ghostbusters?
I did. It was all right. It was good.
I liked Finding Dory as well. I took my kids, but I think that you made a good call because I felt like I had seen the movie from the trailer. Never. They really do it with kids' movies because they know that for kids it doesn't ruin anything, but for the adults,
good call.
Good call. So but Fletch was definitely, it was a moment in time in my life, and my brother and I would enjoy that movie. So a lot of the movies that I chose as my favorites, aside from The Godfather. It's because of more nostalgic reasons.
And Fletch and Cannonball Run, both HBO heavy hitters back in the day, which is probably why you guys had HBO.
Oh
right?
yeah, it's all over and over and over again.
Good times.
Cannonball Run 2 actually is the reason I know that movie. So it was on. I feel like it was on. Quite
Cannonball
a bit.
Run also, or the Cannonball Run 2?
Well, both. Cannonball Run 2 featuring Telly Savalas.
Yes, and Don Knotts and Tim Conway and your boy Frank.
Yeah.
Chairman of the board in there. His last movie.
The other movie that my brother and I used to watch a lot, you just reminded me, was Private Eyes with Don Knotts and Tim Conway, which was hysterical at the beginning and got scary.
Yeah.
And I loved the first half of the movie and would always turn off the second half of the movie. But we would always watch that. We had that on video. It's like when you used to record movies off television when you first had a VCR, and then you'd get used to have the same tracking problems at the same parts of the movie. So
you had that on video.
We did.
I have it on DVD. Anyway,
I'd almost like to watch that again.
And I've been to it's filmed at the Biltmore Mansion in South Carolina. I've been there.
Wow.
I ended up there not by mistake because there was a wedding, whatever. But I was like, this is familiar. Phone. This is where they filmed Private Eyes. And then I was just like obsessed with it. And of course, nobody that worked there had any clue what I was talking about. But good times.
The pig face
My favorite thing about Private Eyes, and folks look up The Private Eyes, 1981, Tim Conway, Don Knotts, one of 6 films that the two of them did together. Like how I pulled that right off the top of my head, that they did 6 films together. The maturity level of that film is best summed up by, there's some boob jokes, but they use the word bosom, which just sets the level. Private Eyes, Cannonball Run 2, Apple Dumpling Gang Rides Again, The Prize Fighter, which was the follow-up to Private Eyes, like the same production team or whatever.
Okay.
And then they were both in, although I don't think they share a scene together, one of my all-time favorite films, Gus. Are you familiar with Gus?
Not.
1973, Ed Asner and Don Knotts are coaches of a football team, and they bring in a guy with a mule who can kick field goals.
I think I did see that. Okay.
And Tim Conway's hired to steal the mule. Look up Gus too, folks. Good
and
times.
Of course they work together. Oh no, not Don Knotts. I'm sorry.
You're thinking of Harvey Korman. Yeah. So great. I love Tim Conway. Love me some Tim Connie. Timmy Cons. I don't know what I'm talking about.
His son hosts a radio show in L.A.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's been on the radio in L.A. for a long time, and he sounds just like his dad when he was young.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's kind of, but he's pretty good.
I'm like the only person who went and saw Speed 2 just because Tim Conway was in it.
Yeah, you're definitely the only person.
And I'm the only person that saw Dear God, the Greg Kinnear vehicle, period. But I went and saw it for Tim Conway.
That's the one with the letter in the post office. I saw that.
Yeah, we probably saw it together. Let's move on to number 3. Very similar to The Godfather, The Little Rascals.
The Little Rascals.
From 1994.
94. We got to talk about 1994.
Oh, yes, let's do it.
1994 was a year that you and I were hanging out virtually every day.
Yes.
And we were going to the movies virtually every night. And I think we saw every movie that came out that year, pretty much.
One thing I remember about that summer of 94, seriously, and not to sound like we were gay or anything, but we were together, seriously, all the time, every night. And then one night, you had the audacity to go out on a date with somebody, and I didn't have anything to do. So I called up some other friends, and you and your date, and me and my friends both ended up going, not at the same showing, but we both went to see, I think it was The Mask.
It was The Mask. That was one of the many movies that came out in 1994, the golden age of Ed and Aaron movie.
Oh, okay, you got a list.
I have a list here.
Grab a list. Let's do it.
Okay, and so it's interesting because when I say we saw everything, it really runs the gamut.
Unless it was serious.
No. We'll start. Well, there's one movie that's funny here. We'll start with Cabin Boy, which came out that year.
I just watched that the other night, and it's really good.
So it really runs the gamut. So we went to see Cabin Boy, which is adult.
It's stupid, but if you watch it now, knowing Tim Burton, who Tim Burton produced it, he was supposed to direct it. If you watch it, it's this is a Tim Burton movie, just slightly not Tim Burton, but it's really good. Really good movie.
And if you go, I think it was literally days after going to see Cabin Boy, we went to see Blank Check.
With Brian Bonsell.
From Family Ties.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we saw Clerks that year.
Yeah, Clerks was good. We've talked about that on the show. Ed Wood's super good movie.
We went to a preview screening of PCU, which is actually a great movie. Featuring David Spade and Jeremy Piven.
Yes.
And Jon Favreau.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
The original Speed.
Wait, PCU, we have to say that we used to have that inside joke about Gene Hackman always being in every movie.
It was Gene Hackman or Michael Caine.
Right.
And there was the line where he says he's doing his thesis on that anytime you could find Gene Hackman.
We laughed so loud.
And almost ripped the seat out of the chair in front of us. Okay, I'm going to finish you.
Hold on, wait till I take a sip.
Because when I tell you the next movie that's on my list, which we thought was going to be interesting because it was about lesbians, we went to see Go Fish. Do you remember what to see that?
At the Charles down in Baltimore.
And it was totally not what we had in mind.
No, it was it was the first time lesbianism was addressed in a movie in any
serious way. But we weren't looking for any serious way.
It was in black and white.
It was black and white. Yeah. The Lion King came out that year. The Paper we saw, which was a really good movie with Michael Keaton.
You're right, serious movie.
Naked Gun 33 1/3. Serial Mom was that year.
Serial Mom is so good.
Dumb and Dumber, The Flintstones, which you spoke about with Laura.
Right.
You were there. Costume.
You were there for the 3 screenings.
One of the many screenings that day. And, of course, classic Ace Ventura Pet Detective was in 94. That was really a great year for movies that year.
Do you remember we all went to see Ace Ventura? There was like a big group of us, and then at the last minute, the girls tried to veer us into some other movie. And we were all like, no, we're going to that. And they all went and saw something stupid, and we went and saw that, and then we came out like 100% fulfilled, and they were all sad that...
If I racked my brain, I might be able to think of what the movie was, but... Was it Interview with a Vampire? Because that came out that year, too.
That's a girly movie, isn't it?
Yes. And, of course, the other movie that came out that year was Monkey Trouble, which we saw in the theater as well.
And we had a poster of it hanging in the radio station at school with Thora Birch.
Yes. You know, some of the movies we saw that year, I think were... we got free tickets because of the
radio station at school.
The radio station, because... It was called WCCN, the radio station, and the people in the promotion departments didn't realize that it was virtually just a speaker on campus and not a broadcasting radio station, and we would play that up.
But we wouldn't get like 2 free tickets to the movies. They would hand us a stack, like a fistful of tickets.
Right.
We also went to the premiere of like a Warlock 2.
That was that same year.
Probably
1994.
Yeah.
It's funny. I saw that on this list, and I was like, yeah.
But so what'd you do? Look up a list of all the movies that came out?
And
Interview with the Vampire is 94.
And looking through that list, I was like, we really saw everything that came out that year. And, of course, Ace Ventura, we saw so many times. I think I could right now probably do the entire movie.
But that's something I was thinking about, actually. I'm glad you brought up Ace Ventura, because like the show is just about like movies and our memories with movies. That was a bonding experience to watch Ace Ventura in college. Like, we would be like...
It was like our Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
Like, we would participate in
but we would be out and like, let's go to so-and-so's house and watch Ace Ventura. Do you have do you have the copy of it? And like, I got one. We'd go by somebody's house and grab it and go to somebody else's house.
And it never got old.
No, it never got old. And we would just watch it and watch it and watch it.
Yeah.
And then we also organized one time a screening.
The film club of...
The time we organized a screening and we had 2 people interpret it in sign language. They stood on both sides of the screen.
I think we got funding for that, too. I think we got the student council to pay for that at the school or something.
Because I think there was like some...
Dave Winfield? What was it? Dave?
Yeah, Winley.
Winley.
There was like some girls at the school who, I don't know if they were deaf or couldn't hear real well or whatever, but they had never seen it, and we were trying to explain it to them, so we got this interpreters, and I think we learned alrighty then in sign language.
I think we just wanted to, I think if we're being honest, I think we just wanted to watch the absurdity be signed. But it was a fun time. So that movie, but the reason I chose The Little Rascals is because aside from the connection to that year and that time in my life, it turns out that when my wife and I met, she also had seen and loved that movie, and it's still to date as a couple one of our favorite movies.
That's great.
We quote it all the time. I don't know if you've seen it, right? Mm-hmm. The Little Rascals. I mean, we quote it all the time. It also features presidential candidate Donald Trump at the end of that movie,
and he's like in it. He's playing something, right? He's not Donald Trump. He's
like
somebody's father.
He plays the obnoxious rich kid's father at the end of the movie. But I'll tell you a funny story. When I was in California, I was managing this restaurant, and it was in a college town where I was going to school. And I was there one night, and there was a couple girls that I knew, and they were introducing me to their friend Amanda. And somehow the topic came up where they said, "Oh, Amanda's brother is an actor," and I said, "Oh, what's his name?" And she's telling me, he hasn't been in anything that you've seen. And I said, oh, just, you'd be surprised.
Try me.
So she says, oh, his name's Jordan Warcall. And I was like, oh, he was Froggy in The Little Rascals. And she was so creeped out by the fact that I knew that.
Not impressed.
It wasn't impressed the way like my friends here would have been, that I could reference that in a moment's notice and probably connect him to Kevin Bacon.
Right.
She was totally creeped out by the fact that I could instantly recognize that name and that he was in that. But so that movie has
that actually reminds me of the time when you were in California and you called me at like literally at like 3:30 in the morning, and you're like, Ed, I'm sorry, just real quick, what was the name of the girl on Alf? I'm like, Lynn. Okay, thanks, bye. Click.
because I needed, for some reason, I needed that information urgently.
Urgently.
Because even if it was 3:00 in the morning here, it was midnight where I was, and I don't know why I was thinking about Lynn from Alf at midnight, but so the Little Rascals is towards the top of my list for that reason that it's several periods of time in my life when that 1994 time frame, and my wife and I when we were getting to know each other, and now showing it to my kids and them enjoying it. So it's been like a, but I do love that movie. It's very quotable. Very quotable.
I remember your favorite line is "We got $1, we got $1."
We quote that all the time, and my wife will, like, if she's having a bad day, sometimes she'll say, the clouds opened up and God says, "I hate you, alfalfa." But that movie, I really loved. Also, we quote "Quick, what's the number for 911?"
Were you a big fan of the Little Rascals, the older stuff?
No, never saw it.
Did this bring you to watch it and then be like, what the hell is this?
A couple YouTube clips, but
right.
I don't. It doesn't do anything for me.
Right.
That movie, I just really the Penelope. Is that who? Penelope Spears, right?
Yeah, directed it. She did Wayne's World.
Just the kids in it are really entertaining. Bug Hall and they're pretty good actors.
Have you shared this with your kids?
I have. They like it. I don't know if they like it as much as my wife and I like it. But
that's the way it should be.
I like it's like sort of captures that like small town America, right. Innocence. There's nothing objectionable in the movie. I like that.
The movie takes place in present time. I mean, 94, right? It's not. It's like
it
a
does.
weird. It's
like a weird like in between, right. Because they're still
stylized.
Like, but it's very funny and.
Did you see the crappy DVD sequel they made?
I did not. I thought about it. I contemplated watching it on Netflix, and then I said, nah, I don't want to. I think it's called
Saves the Day or something. 2007. Yeah. The DVD that I have it's four movies on a 2-disc set. It's Little Rascals, Flipper, Casper, which we saw this year
with
great movie. Christina Ricci and Bill Pullman,
right?
With cameos by Rodney Dangerfield and Dan Aykroyd, and the Leave It to Beaver movie.
I never saw that.
I saw that in the theater.
Bill Pullman, who is the second person on every list in Hollywood when Michael Douglas says no. He's the go-to for every...
Michael Douglas would have been great in Ghost.
He would have been. He turned it down, so call Bill Pullman. Same thing with the President Independence Day.
I'm going to see if I can pull these names out of my butt. The Leave It to Beaver movie starred...
Walter Matthau.
Christopher McDonald as the dad, and I think her name's Janine Turner from like Northern Exposure or something was the mom. Oh, well, whatever. Anyway,
I always say to my wife, whenever I pull one of these types of factoids about like
right.
that, I always say that's where math should be.
Right.
Like it's occupying space in my brain where it serves no purpose other than, well, I guess except for doing this show.
This podcast is for the unused resources of your brain.
Yep.
Let's move forward a spot on your list to. Is that all right?
Sure.
Pitch Perfect okay. We should. I mean, you got Godfather, Fletch, Little Rascals, A Few Good Men's on there, and then we go to Pitch Perfect. So you have, as far as a traditional quality film, whatever, critically acclaimed, a little up and down there. But that's fine. That's what this show's all about. And
you and I have always had an affinity for pretty awful, like.
I think I've even heard Leonard Maltin say this. Nobody sets out to make a horrible movie, but you might set out to make a silly movie, or and not a corny movie, whatever. No one sets out to make a bad movie. So even though everyone else thinks it's a bad movie, that's
I don't like most of the movies that come out today. I find that because every movie has to be a superhero movie, and I'm just not a fan of comic books or superhero movies. So a lot of what comes out today I don't enjoy.
Very few movies now like do you leave the theater like, oh my god, that was so good, unless it's like some like what I call like a steak and potatoes movie, like a really good like drama, but it's not something you're gonna like go revisit or get like a tattoo of it or whatever or quote or whatever. But Yeah, Pitch Perfect is...
I wanted to hate that movie. I saw the trailer for it, and I was like, that looks awful. And it was on, I was actually in a hotel. I was in New Orleans for a conference, and I was flipping around the channels, and it was just starting. And,
And you said, let's get pitch slapped.
I'll tell you what happened was, it doesn't happen so much nowadays because so many things you watch on Netflix or you're selecting what you want. And I don't actually have a TV at home. So in a hotel, the experience of just a movie starting and I don't even know what it is until it shows you the title.
Yep.
I haven't had that experience in a long time. And so I watched it. And I wanted to hate it, but it was just so entertaining. It's like the film equivalent of cotton candy. It's like there's nothing to it, but it's there. It's there, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And one of the ways that the criteria I use for selecting my favorite movies, if I'll watch a movie over and over again. And A Few Good Men, which we're going to talk about in a minute, that is one of those things that I would say that falls under that category of if I own it on DVD or if I own it digitally, but yet I see it on TV and still need to watch it, that's how I know I love the movie. And I've had Pitch Perfect downloaded on my iPad since New Orleans, which was about 2 years ago. What I do is whenever I'm someplace where there's no Wi-Fi or if I can't get a connection, I will watch that movie again and again and again. So I had to put it on the list.
And who's in that besides? We got Anna Kendrick and
what's the bigger
Rebel Wilson?
Rebel Wilson. Yeah, who I dislike in general, but she's pretty entertaining in this.
And Elizabeth Smart. No, Elizabeth Banks,
who directed the second one.
Yes.
But
any of the other girls have gone on to bigger and better things?
Not that I know. There's one other one that I'm drawing a blank to her name, but it's a very much an ensemble type film.
Yeah.
I just refer to it as an ensemble, but and I like the competition aspect of it. It's essentially pretty formulaic. It's the same movie as Bring It On or which I also love, by the way.
Right.
Or any other movie where you have.
You said when we were texting, you said it's pretty much interchangeable with Bring It On, and then I was offended because I love me some Bring It On.
Bring It On's a great movie.
Yes.
But I like any movie like that, like where you have a group of basically kids obsessed with something that they think is important when in the scheme of things it's not, and there's some competitive element to it, and at some point they get in a fight and then they make up and come up with the great routine that's going to save the day. I don't know why that's so entertaining, but it just is.
It is. It's like comfortable, and then it's like, let's see how if a trailer comes on and it's like, oh, this is that movie, let's see how they do. I want to watch that and see how they do that.
Right.
Like, oh, that's unoriginal.
I just watched it was at Yogi Bear's Jellystone Park with my family for a summer vacation, and they show a movie each night. One of the movies was High School Musical. And my daughter, who's 11 or almost 11, wanted to go see it, and so just her and I went. And again, it's basically the same the same concept, but it just for some reason that's format.
Fun movie, yeah.
That format works, and it always ends up kind of uplifting, and everyone's happy, and the two sides that were competing become friends. I mean, it's always works out that way.
That's great.
It is cotton candy.
When Pitch Perfect 2 came out, you had seen, like, you had already seen Pitch Perfect, and then number 2 came out, so you were like pumped for number 2, like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I couldn't bring myself to go to the theater to see it. First of all, my wife would have she would not be willing to go see that, and
I've been there.
And so I waited for that to come on to television or on Netflix but I did see it, and it was good.
How many of the Bring It Ons have you seen?
I only saw the first Bring It On.
Did I see all 5 of them? Maybe.
I'm going to go ahead and guess that you did. Interestingly, Bring It On was the first DVD I ever owned.
There you go. I have it. Do I have 4 of them? Maybe. Didn't like the 5th one too much. They went drama. Don't do drama. You can't
do that. No. First one with Gabrielle Union and
Kirsten Dunst,
who I've always been a fan of.
And then the third one has Hayden Panettiere and Beyonce's sister.
I like Hayden Panettiere. I should watch that.
And the girl in the 4th one is in Pretty Little Liars. all the Bring It On movies they don't have the same characters or the same school or anything. The three things that flow through it is they all start off with a dream sequence. They all have the cheer stick somewhere in the movie.
And there's at least one actor that's in all of them, right?
No.
It didn't find the American Pie. I've seen all of them, and Eugene Levy shows up in every one of them. I love that.
No, I think in the second one they make a reference to her cousin or something being Kristen Dunst or whatever. But
Torrance Shipman,
yes, of the El Toro Bulls.
That's where math should be.
And I don't remember. All right. What do you want to say about A Few Good Men? I have a list of some other films I want to touch on, but
okay.
You brought notes.
A Few Good Men, like I said before, it's one of those movies that I've owned it on every format. I've seen it a million times, but if I see it on television, I will still stop and watch it. It's just such a great suspenseful film, and I've just always enjoyed it. And again, from a memory kind of nostalgic perspective, my wife's sister came to live with us when she was 14 years old, and we adopted her. And I remember when she was like a freshman in high school, for some reason we had that movie, we had that DVD, and we would watch it all the time. So it was like a movie, it was like a bonding thing for her and I, for Samantha and I, and so it meets that criteria for me as well, that it has to have some sort of a emotional connection where it's not just a movie, it's a snapshot of a period of time in my life,
a bookmark, if you will.
Yeah,
never seen it.
It's a great movie.
92, directed by Rob Reiner. So I would watch it just based on that.
And written by Aaron Sorkin, who went on to write The West Wing, which is my favorite television show.
There you go. Here's a movie for you, The Jerky Boys.
I do remember. Oh my god! And it wasn't even good, but we were huge Jerky Boys.
No, I wasn't.
I liked the calls, but
I was pretty entertained by the idea of making a movie based on
phony phone calls,
prank phone calls. And we went out in a blizzard. Like, we had no business being out on the road, and the local theater was closed, so we drove like 2 towns over from my house to Laurel to go see it.
That awful theater.
Yeah.
That wasn't a good theater.
And we were the only ones in the theater, of course. And just terrible. Jerky Boys, if you don't remember, folks, were 2 dudes who made prank phone calls and recorded them and made a lot of money very fast.
It was like Kamal. I was like, one of them was like,
I have no idea.
I don't know. It was, and the plot of the movie was something like
something with the mob.
The mob and some confusion.
The running time on the movie is like 71 minutes.
It was awful. I remember us leaving and saying that was like 2 hours we were never getting back of our
But it was
lives.
only 71 minutes. And the guy that played, I think his name is William Hickey, who plays the old. He's in Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
He's in a lot of mobster movies, isn't he?
Right.
He was the mobster in the Jerky Boys. Go check it out. And then later I saw the Jerky Boys live in concert.
Which is even more absurd.
Only because I had free tickets, and literally the entire place left. It was so bad, people walked out. It was so horrible. Here's 2 other movie titles I wanted to toss up at you.
All right.
Super Fuzz.
Okay, Super Fuzz almost made the list. Because, and I'll tell you, and I watched that recently, by the way, on YouTube. I don't know if you've ever tried to watch a whole movie on YouTube that someone recorded with a handheld camera. And it's almost unbearable because the sound is awful. Mm-hmm. But that movie, featuring Ernest Borgnine
and Terrence Hill,
1980. The plot, and Mr. Toledo. The plot of the movie was this police officer in Miami gets like somehow sees like a radiological cloud or something and gets superpowers, except for if he sees the color red, and then he loses them. And it's an absurd movie. Again, a movie that my brother and I used to watch all the time, and I've probably seen that movie more than any other film ever because we would watch it like every day.
Yeah.
And the guy, I don't even know. I think he was an Italian actor.
Yeah, I think it was an Italian production.
I think it was an Italian production because the guy who played Dave Superfuzz, whatever his name was you could barely understand him. He had like such a thick accent. And they were smuggling. It had something to do with like counterfeiters, and they were smuggling counterfeit money in a truck full of fish or something. like that.
Wait, who's the main guy? Dave Speed?
Dave Speed.
Dave Speed. That's clever, folks. That's clever. And you are probably, this is a movie that I love near and dear to my heart, and you're the only person who ever voluntarily referenced it on his own.
Don't tell me the movie yet. Just give me a hint.
Oh, and yet alone, this movie is about a kidnapping, and they kidnap this young child.
Jimmy the Kid. Starring Gary Coleman. Oh, I love that movie.
Yes.
Again, my brother and I would watch it all the time. That was a great movie.
Pat Morita is the limo driver. He's blind. Cleavon Little is his dad. Is Gary Coleman's dad. He's like a rock star touring.
Right.
And then the three guys.
Woman with the squeaky voice.
Yeah.
And they wore like these masks.
They had like a droopy mask on. I think Oscar winner Ruth Gordon's in it too. I should have written down the cast, but that is a great movie.
That was a great movie.
You can't find it anywhere except on my shelf in the upstairs. But I have a copy of it taped off of like Channel 45 at 3 o'clock in the morning, like way back in the day.
Do you have a recording?
Oh, Dee Wallace is in it. Dee Wallace from E.T. and all. She was one of the kidnappers. Gary Coleman, Ruth Gordon, Cleavon Little, Pat Morita, Avery Schreiber. Oh, Don Adams practically playing Maxwell Smart.
Right. He's the cop.
I just remember the beginning of the movie. He's like doing the narration. He's like, "It was a Tuesday, or maybe it was a Wednesday," and I thought that was the funniest thing ever for a movie to start off with. What a great movie! Let's bring.
Went on to do The Nude Bomb.
Yes, which is also a fantastic movie. The Nude Bomb is the movie based on Get Smart. And if you revisit that, you will discover that it actually has nothing to do with Get Smart whatsoever. That movie you can also find upstairs on my DVD channel.
What about On the Right Track?
That is such a good movie.
Another Gary Coleman movie.
That was Gary Coleman's first
Living
movie.
in a train station.
Right, and that's nowhere to be found whatsoever on DVD or video.
Well, YouTube will have it somewhere. I'm telling you, it's amazing. There's a movie that my brother and I also used to watch called High School USA. Do you remember that? With Nancy McKeon and Michael J. Fox.
And
I just that had everybody in it. And I watched the whole movie on YouTube yet again.
I think I rented it off of Netflix. Yeah, that's a great movie. Everybody's in that.
It's not a great. It's actually a pretty awful movie, but it's
a fun movie.
It's a fun movie because it was like it had like all these different. It was a TV movie, and it had like all these different TV personalities of the time.
Todd Bridges.
Yep.
Bob Denver.
Yep.
Gilligan. Dwayne Hickman, who was Dobie Gillis. Dana Plato, who was
crack whore.
Yeah. Crystal Bernard from It's a Living.
And Wings. Wasn't she on Wings?
I go straight to It's a Living. Yes, she was on Wings. Anthony
It's a
Edwards.
Living. I loved It's a Living. With
Gillian Anderson. Yes. And Anthony Edwards. Eleanor Donahue, who was Chris Elliott's wife. She was the mom on Get a Life. That's good. Keep going. Tony Dow from Beaver, right?
Uh-huh.
David Nelson from the Ozzie and Harriet. Ken Osmond. Mary Ann's in it. Oh, my God, this is a great movie. Yeah. Crispin Glover.
Crispin Glover, who, of course, is Michael J. Fox's father in Back to the Future. This
is High School USA, 1983. You can buy it on Amazon, according to IMDb here. So IMDb.
They did another movie that was similar.
Poison Ivy.
Poison Ivy. That's it.
Where they go to summer camp and there's a bunch of TV.
Which they totally ripped off to make that hot, wet American summer kind of.
If you want to compare them, I have Poison Ivy upstairs on my shelf. So. Good times. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's going to about wrap it up for us here at What's Your Favorite Movie? Aaron, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Reminiscing about the old days.
And
all the movies. Where can people find you if they want to get some financial advising?
They can reach me. They can call the Precise Financial Solutions office at area code 443-352-3652. And if anyone has any insurance or financial services needs, they can reach me there.
Excellent. And you can reach me on Twitter if you want to see pictures of old movies or horrible ways I manage my money. You can find me on Twitter at Ed South. and find the show at WYF Movie Podcast. And I'll post lots of links to some of these obscure movies that we talked about, some of the posters and stuff like that. So it's a visual aid, people. It's a visual aid. Aaron, thank you once again for joining us here at the luxurious What's Your Favorite Movie Studios.
Been a hoot.
It's been a hoot indeed. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Please don't forget to subscribe. Leave us a review on iTunes if you don't mind. And we'll see you next time. Until then, it's khaki wishes and cookie dreams. Bye-bye.